So, you were asking about that Dragonheart sequel. Oh, you weren't asking? Well, you've got one anyway. So we're talking about Dragonheart 3, The Curse of the Sorcerer. Obviously the third movie in this franchise, which has spanned quite a few years now. Now, the original movie starred Dennis Quaid and Sean Connery. Sean Connery being the voice of the CGI dragon, Drago. Now, the second movie was pretty much a direct-to-video, and this one is kind of a direct-to-DVD/video-on-demand movie. And it's been quite a while, but to be fair, this movie you can actually watch it as a standalone film, and you don't have to have seen the previous two movies. I can't even remember the second one, to be honest. I know I've seen it, but it's completely gone from my memory. But you can watch this one completely fresh. You don't have to have seen either of the previous two movies. In fact, I actually think this movie is actually a prequel to the original movie. And it focuses on a young man called Gareth, who is a squire, and he has aspirations of becoming a knight. However, the knights in this movie aren't quite the shining knights in armour with values and virtues that you kind of may see from traditional knights. Anyway, it's all set around Hadrian's Wall, which is kind of an actual place here in Britain. And essentially, this kind of wall is separating the kind of the wild north from the south. And there's basically a kind of a conflict brewing with kind of the north kind of wanting to sort of go over to the south and invade, but there's various factions that want different things and blah blah blah. And Gareth basically is this squire who ends up on the kind of the wrong side of the wall, and he's kind of witness to this of meteor that comes down, and it's actually this dragon. And through a kind of a kind of plot device, basically, he ends up kind of becoming sort of connected to the dragon. And the crux of these movies is that the dragons and this particular human share a touching moment where the dragon actually gives the human part of its heart, and they become sort of connected and they have this kind of bond from this point on. And then basically it's a case of Gareth teaming up with a kind of a band of rebels to defeat the bad guys with the help of the dragon, of course. And the bad guys are led by this kind of nefarious piece of ham who is hamming it up all over the place and becoming a very sort of scenery chewing villain, and wanting the sort of dragons for his own kind of evil means. So that's basically the plot here. So it's a pretty predictable plot, I have to say. From pretty much, if you think it's going to happen, it will happen in this movie. There's not a lot of surprises here. One of the interesting things I would say with this movie is that it's clearly a lower budget, and what they actually do, they find a way to kind of sideline the dragon for a lot of this, the kind of the middle section of this film. So if you're expecting a lot of dragon effects, you'll find the dragon actually sidelined for a lot of this movie, which is kind of a little bit frustrating. But the effects that we do see, I have to say, are pretty good for a kind of a straight-to-video movie or straight-to-DVD movie. I think they do a pretty good job in this day and age of, making a believable, lower-cost CGI dragon that kind of looks and feels like it's a genuine sort of creature, for the most part anyway. So, pretty decent-looking dragon. I like the design of it. I actually prefer this design than the kind of the original dragon in the first film. But it's all well shot. I think it's got the production values as high as you can probably possibly expect from this sort of things. It's kind of sleek looking. I would say technically it's a pretty sound movie. There's no camera work as well. It's well lit. The sets are all very good. The costumes are all very good. That sort of thing. I think some of the acting is a little bit on the hammy side, particularly as I've mentioned from the bad guy. He's just going a little bit too far, I think, trying to chew up the scenery. But Gareth is kind of your sort of typical sort of good-looking, put-upon knight with a kind heart and all that, and he of course falls in love with this kind of wild warrior woman who's got the bumbling sort of druid sidekick. So there's kind of these typical sort of cliche characters you're going to kind of see in here. But to be fair, it's a kind of fun romp, and I think you've got Ben Kingsley actually voicing the dragon this time. And it does a good job here. And they even though they kind of do sideline the dragon for a lot of this film, the way they do utilise it is like he has this kind of like misty form that kind of looks quite good. You know, it is kind of CGI obviously, but nevertheless, I do think it's still quite a lot. You know, looks quite good. There's some quite good battle scenes in here. It's obviously a relatively family-friendly movie, so don't expect anything too sort of graphic here. But overall, I think for that particular audience, that sort of the family audience, or if you kind of like a kind of more of a light-hearted fancy affair, I think it's a pretty decent movie, to be quite honest, even though I don't think it is particularly original. But it's a fun film, so I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.